The scent of seared steak and truffle butter lingered in the air as the soft hum of conversation filled the dimly lit dining room. Crystal chandeliers cast a golden glow over pristine white tablecloths, and tuxedo-clad waiters glided between, tables with practiced elegance. This wasn't just any restaurant. This was Elon, one of the most exclusive dining establishments in all of Los Angeles. The kind of place where A-list celebrities, business moguls, and socialites dined in private booths while sipping on $1,000 bottles of wine. And tonight, amidst the sea of wealth and power, sat a man who had quietly changed the world in more ways than one. Elon Musk, dressed in a simple black blazer and jeans, sat alone at a corner table, scrolling through his phone as he waited for his meal. Unlike the usual patrons of Elan, who dressed to impress, Elon preferred function over fashion. To him, the brilliance of an idea mattered more than the price tag of a designer suit. A waitress approached, a young woman in her late 20s, with a sharp gaze and an air of confidence. Her name tag read Mia, and her posture screamed of someone who had little patience for customers who didn't fit the mold of Elon's usual clientele. She had been working at the restaurant for almost a year now, and had developed a keen sense of who deserved her respect and who didn't. In her mind, the ultra-rich tech CEOs, the Wall Street elites, and the so-called visionaries were nothing more than glorified grifters. They made their billions off the backs of hardworking people while pretending they were geniuses. And as Mia approached this particular table, she took one glance at the man sitting before her, unshaven, slightly disheveled, dressed more like a college professor than a billionaire, and she made her judgment. "Sir," she said, her tone barely masking her condescension, "I'm going to need to see a reservation confirmation." Elon looked up, arching a brow. "Oh, I thought I gave my name at the front." "Yes, but we require a digital confirmation," Mia said, crossing her arms. "This is an exclusive establishment and we don't allow walk-ins." Elon reached into his pocket and casually pulled out his phone. "I think I have it here somewhere." He scrolled through his messages while Mia tapped her foot impatiently. She sighed dramatically. "You know, we get guys like you here sometimes, thinking they can just walk in because they have a few bucks. Elon has a reputation to uphold." Elon smirked. "A few bucks, huh?" He found the email and handed her the phone. "Here. Reservation for... Oh, look, it says Musk." Mia snatched the phone, barely glancing at the screen before handing it back. "Fine, I'll put your order in." She walked off without another word, muttering under her breath. Elon chuckled to himself. He'd been in plenty of situations where people underestimated him. It never bothered him. If anything, he found it amusing. A few tables away, a group of well-dressed men and women whispered among themselves. They had recognized him instantly and watched the interaction unfold with wide eyes. One of them, a venture capitalist named Robert Sinclair, leaned toward the others. "She has no idea who he is," Robert whispered. Another guest, an actress named Victoria Lane, gasped. "Oh my God, should we tell her?" "No way," Robert chuckled. "This is too good." Back in the kitchen, Mia rolled her eyes as she handed the order to the chef. "Table 12 is some tech bro who thinks he owns the place." The head chef, a burly man named Marco, raised a brow. "Table 12? You mean Elon Musk?" Mia froze. "Wait, what?" Marco wiped his hands on a towel and let out a hearty laugh. "You just talked down to one of the richest men on the planet." Mia blinked, a sinking feeling settling in her stomach. "You're joking." "I'm dead serious," Marco said. "He owns Elon. Bought it 2 years ago." Mia felt her face go pale. For a moment she stood frozen, replaying the conversation in her head. She had practically sneered at him, treated him like some nobody trying to sneak into an elite space, and now she realized she had just insulted the owner of the very restaurant she worked at. Her stomach twisted. Trying to maintain her composure, she grabbed a fresh glass of wine and made her way back to the table. As she approached, Elon looked up, watching her with mild amusement. "Here's your wine, sir," she said, her voice noticeably more polite. Elon nodded, taking the glass. "Thanks, Mia." He made sure to emphasize her name, watching as she flinched slightly. She hesitated. I hope everything is to your liking." Elon took a sip of the wine and set the glass down. He tilted his head, studying her. "You know, Mia, you seem to have strong opinions about people like me." Mia swallowed hard. You assumed I was some rich tech bro trying to impress people, right?" Her cheeks burned. I didn't mean..." "It's okay," Elon said, waving a hand. "I get it a lot. People think they know me based on what they read online. But here's the thing." He leaned forward slightly. "I don't care about money the way people think I do. I care about ideas, about progress. And yes, I happen to own this restaurant." Mia bit her lip. I didn't know." Elon smiled. That much was obvious. At that moment, Robert Sinclair and the others at the nearby table burst into laughter. They had been listening the whole time. "Classic," Robert exclaimed. "She had no clue." Mia wished the floor would swallow her whole. Elon, however, wasn't one for public humiliation. He simply chuckled and picked up his fork. "No hard feelings, Mia. Just something to think about next time." She nodded quickly, mumbling an apology, before retreating to the kitchen. As the night went on, Elon enjoyed his meal, exchanging light conversation with Robert and the others. Before leaving, he left a generous tip, more than enough to cover Mia's rent for a month. And as he stepped out into the cool night air, he couldn't help but smile. People often judged him without really knowing him, but at the end of the day, actions spoke louder than assumptions. And Mia, well, she had just learned that lesson in the most unforgettable way possible. Back in the kitchen, Mia leaned against the counter, staring blankly at the floor. Her hands trembled slightly as she replayed everything in her head. "You okay?" Marco asked, raising an eyebrow. Mia let out a shaky breath. I can't believe I did that. I was so rude to him." Marco smirked. "Yeah, you were. But hey, at least he didn't fire you on the spot." She groaned, covering her face with her hands. "Do you think he will?" Marco shrugged. "Elon Musk doesn't seem like the type to hold grudges over something like this. But if I were you, I'd find a way to make it right before it's too late." Mia took a deep breath and nodded. She wasn't the type to grovel, but she knew she had messed up. The only thing worse than making a mistake was not owning up to it. A few minutes later, Elon was finishing his dessert, a rich, molten chocolate lava cake, when Mia cautiously approached his table once more. "Excuse me, Mr. Musk?" Her voice was softer now, less defensive. Elon looked up, his expression neutral. "Yes, Mia?" She hesitated, shifting awkwardly on her feet. I just wanted to apologize for earlier. I made assumptions about you that weren't fair, and I shouldn't have treated you that way." Elon set down his fork and leaned back slightly. He studied her, as if trying to gauge her sincerity. "Apology accepted," he said simply. Mia exhaled in relief. "Thank you. I appreciate that." There was a brief pause before Elon added, "But I have to ask, why?" Mia frowned slightly. "Why what? Why did you assume the worst about me?" She bit her lip. "Honestly, I've worked in places like this long enough to see a certain type of customer over and over. The kind that throws money around to feel important. The kind that treats people like they're disposable." Elon nodded slowly. "And you thought I was one of them?" Mia sighed. "Yeah, I did." Elon considered her words for a moment before responding. "You know, I get that. Some wealthy people are entitled jerks, but not all of us are like that." Mia gave a small, guilty smile. "Yeah, I can see that now." He took a sip of his wine before setting the glass down. It's easy to judge people at first glance, but if I did that, I wouldn't have taken chances on some of the best minds in my companies. People who didn't come from elite backgrounds, people who didn't fit the tech genius stereotype. Some of them had nothing, but they had potential. If I had dismissed them based on assumptions, I wouldn't. Mia stood frozen, gripping the business card as if it might disappear at any moment. The words printed on it felt almost surreal. Tesla, Senior Hiring Manager. She glanced up just in time to see Elon Musk disappearing through the restaurant's grand entrance, stepping into the night as if this had been just another ordinary dinner for him. But for Mia, nothing about this night felt ordinary. Marco, the head chef, poked his head out of the kitchen and smirked. So, you gonna frame that thing, or are you actually gonna call? Mia turned to him, still dazed. I don't even know what I'd say. You start with, hello. Marco chuckled, going back to his station. Mia exhaled sharply and tucked the card into her apron pocket. The weight of it was heavier than any tip she'd ever received. The morning after. Mia couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, staring at the ceiling, her mind replaying the entire night. She had insulted one of the richest, most influential men in the world, and instead of humiliating her or firing her, he had handed her an opportunity. Why? It made no sense. People like Elon Musk weren't supposed to care about people like her. She was a waitress, a college dropout who had spent years juggling dead-end jobs just to keep a roof over her head. And yet, there it was, the card in her hands. By sunrise, she had made up her mind. With shaking fingers, she dialed the number. A crisp voice answered on the second ring. Tesla headquarters, this is Ryan speaking. Mia swallowed hard. Hi. My name is Mia, and Elon Musk gave me this number. There was a pause. Then, the man's tone shifted. Oh? Mr. Musk doesn't just hand out numbers for no reason. Tell me, Mia, what do you do? She hesitated. I'm a waitress. And what do you want to do? That was the question, wasn't it? Mia had never let herself think about that before. She had always been too focused on surviving, paying rent, keeping her job, avoiding debt. What did she want? A slow realization dawned on her. I want to do something that matters, she finally said. The man on the other end of the line chuckled. Good answer. Can you come in for a meeting? Next week? Mia's heart pounded. Yes, absolutely. Great. Bring that mindset with you. The call ended, and Mia just sat there, staring at her phone, unable to believe what had just happened. 1 year later. The smell of coffee filled the air as Mia typed furiously on her laptop, her focus locked on the engineering reports in front of her. She wasn't a waitress anymore. She was a project coordinator at Tesla, working alongside some of the smartest people she had ever met. And all because one night she had misjudged a man in a restaurant. Her phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. How's the new job treating you? Mia smirked, shaking her head. Only one person would send that. Mia. It's incredible. I still can't believe it. A moment later, another text popped up. Elon. Told you not to judge people too quickly. Mia laughed, setting her phone down. She had learned a lesson that night, one that changed her life forever. 2 years later. Mia stood in the middle of the Tesla Gigafactory, watching a team of engineers work on a prototype for a next-generation battery. The hum of machinery filled the massive space, and the energy of innovation was electric. She still couldn't believe this was her life now. 2 years ago, she had been serving overpriced meals to the ultra-wealthy, rolling her eyes at people like Elon Musk. Now, she was part of something bigger than she ever imagined, coordinating projects that could change the world. Her phone buzzed. Elon, swing by my office when you get a chance. Mia took a deep breath and made her way toward the executive wing. She had spoken with Elon a handful of times since joining Tesla, but she still felt a jolt of nerves whenever she saw his name pop up on her phone. Elon's office. When she entered, Elon was sitting at his desk, reviewing a stack of papers. He gestured for her to take a seat without looking up. "You've been doing good work, Mia," he said, flipping through a document. "Thank you," she said, sitting down. "I'm just trying to keep up." Elon finally looked up, smirking. "You're doing more than keeping up. That's why I wanted to talk to you." Mia's heart pounded. "You've been with Tesla for 2 years now," Elon continued. "I've been watching how you operate. You don't just follow orders, you think ahead. You question things. That's rare." She nodded slowly, unsure where this was going. Elon leaned forward. "I want you to take on a bigger role. There's a new project launching, something ambitious, even by our standards. And I need people who don't just work for a paycheck, but who actually care about pushing the boundaries of what's possible." Mia blinked. "You want me on it?" "I want you leading part of it," Elon corrected. For a moment, Mia just stared at him. 2 years ago, she had been an anonymous waitress in a luxury restaurant, judging Elon Musk without knowing a thing about him. Now, he was offering her a leadership role in one of the most innovative companies in the world. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Elon said simply. A slow smile spread across Mia's face. "Yes. Full. Circle." A few months later, Mia found herself back in Los Angeles, standing in front of Elon, the very restaurant where her journey had begun. She wasn't here to eat. She wasn't here to work. She was here to meet someone. Stepping inside, she spotted Marco, still working in the kitchen. He saw her and nearly dropped his knife. "Mia?" She grinned. "Hey, old man." He rushed over, pulling her into a bear hug. "Look at you. What are you doing here? You finally quit Tesla to come back and wait tables?" She laughed. "Not exactly." She reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope, handing it to him. Marco frowned, opening it, and his eyes widened. Inside was a check. A big check. "Consider it a thank you," Mia said, "for pushing me to make that call 2 years ago." Marco shook his head in disbelief. "Mia, this is insane. I can't take this." "You can and you will," she said. "Invest it, use it, do whatever you want with it. Just don't argue with me." Marco chuckled, shaking his head. "You really made it, didn't you?" She smiled. "Yeah, I did." As she stepped back out onto the busy Los Angeles street, Mia took a deep breath. She had come a long way. And it had all started with a single moment, a mistake, a lesson, and a man who had seen potential in her when she hadn't even seen it in herself. Life had a funny way of working out like that. A new beginning. As Mia walked away from Elon, she reflected on how different her life had become. The same streets, the same city, but she was no longer the same person. She wasn't just a former waitress who had stumbled into an opportunity. She was a leader, a problem solver, and someone who had proven herself in one of the most competitive industries in the world. But she wasn't done yet. That night, as she sat in her hotel room overlooking the Los Angeles skyline, her phone buzzed again. "Elon, I need you in Austin next week. Big things coming." Mia smiled, shaking her head. With Elon, there was always something big coming. Mia, on it. Can't wait. She set her phone down and looked out at the city, the lights twinkling like endless possibilities. Her journey wasn't over. It was just beginning. A new challenge. Week later, Mia landed in Austin, Texas, stepping into the heart of Tesla's latest ambitious venture. The moment she arrived at the Gigafactory, she could feel the energy. Teams working around the clock, engineers deep in discussion, and Elon himself moving between meetings with his usual relentless focus. She was quickly ushered into a conference room where Elon was waiting along with a handful of senior executives. "Glad you made it," Elon said, nodding at her. Mia took a seat, her pulse quickening. "What's this about?" Elon leaned forward, his expression unreadable. "We're about to launch a next-generation AI-powered autonomous vehicle division. It's going to revolutionize not just Tesla, but the entire transportation industry." Mia's eyes widened. She had heard rumors about something big coming, but this was on another level. "We need leaders who can manage both the technical and human sides of this project," Elon continued. "People who can think outside the box. You've proven you can do that." Mia inhaled sharply. "You want me involved?" Elon smirked. "I want you running part of it." Her mind raced. This was huge, a step beyond anything she had ever imagined. 2 years ago, she had been serving drinks and rolling her eyes at wealthy customers. Now she was being asked to help shape the future of transportation. Mia squared her shoulders. "I won't let you down." Elon nodded. "I know." Making an impact. Over the next few months, Mia threw herself into the project. She worked with engineers, AI specialists, and software developers, ensuring that the new division didn't just meet expectations, but shattered them. Her ability to connect with people, problem solve on the fly, and challenge outdated ways of thinking made her a key player in the initiative. And when Tesla finally unveiled its groundbreaking autonomous fleet, it wasn't just Elon who took the stage at the launch event. Mia stood beside him. She looked out at the crowd, journalists, investors, and industry leaders, knowing that this moment had been years in the making. She had started as a waitress. She had judged Elon Musk without knowing who he really was. And now, because of one fateful night, she was part of something that would change the world. Full circle. After the event, as Mia walked off stage, Elon turned to her with a knowing smile. "Still think all rich people are entitled jerks?" he teased. Mia laughed. "I think some of them are pretty decent." Elon chuckled. "Good, because we're just getting started." Mia grinned. She couldn't wait